Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Going Dark podcast episode. Chop, I'm going to guess 22. Will it be right?
I'm gonna
I don't
say
know.
probably 22. I have no clue. Lads, I get it. I've been getting comments on my main channel of being like, "Yo, man, we need a post-launch podcast." I'm like, "Damn, you're right. I'm sorry. We haven't had one in a couple of weeks because we've been busy playing the game and everything." But Black Ops 6 has come out, and we've gotten to really dive into everything. And I've got a lot of thoughts on stuff. I'm sure you do too. And this is the one that I think a lot of people were waiting for because every podcast we've had before this is just somewhat speculative. I mean, we played at like COD Next, and I played a couple times at Treyarch, but the game is actually out now, and so we can talk about everything unfiltered and just full out. So, the first thing I want to ask you is, first of all, what do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, I was going to say the last time we did a podcast, I've been getting the same comments. It's been like, where's the podcast at? Listen, let us digest a little bit. Let us play the game. I didn't want to do a 1 day after review because we all know how that works. It's a little honeymoon phase. You're feeling good. You're looking good. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, you go, this game's absolutely terrible. And then everything changes. But yeah, I think it's been like 2 weeks since we've done one of these. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to get back. And then season 1 news just dropped today. So we got this might be a 7-hour long podcast. So if you guys want to get something to eat and
Get a
get
snack,
ready.
get a drink,
But yeah.
get a little bev.
So I guess
here.
let me answer your question because we're gonna title the podcast "Does Black Ops 6 Suck?" Just so listen, it's just the way of the world, folks. It's the internet. Which category do you want to dive into? Because I played the campaign, I played zombies, I played multiplayer. I've hit all of them.
Okay. So I guess I want to start with campaign just because I'm gonna let the internet chat room know I have yet to play the campaign still. I haven't had the time to do it. I've been busy with other stuff. I've not played the campaign yet,
Okay.
although the things that I've heard, I've talked to you very briefly about it, and then I had an IRL friend of mine that I respect his opinion when it comes to gaming, and I just got this text message from him, and he was like, "Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I thought the campaign was kind of cringe," and I was like, what? Because I've never been disappointed by a Treyarch campaign. Like,
Yeah.
okay, the last one was
Black
Cold
Ops
War.
4.
Well, okay, sure. The non-existent campaign.
Yeah.
And then you can look at Cold War's campaign and it's not really a Treyarch campaign. Like, obviously that was Raven who developed that, but I liked it well enough, and I understood it was kind of held back due to like COVID. But I was still expecting big things out of the Black Ops 6 campaign. And again, I'm saying this as I have yet to play it. Whenever I play it, it will be part of like my big review that I eventually make. But at the moment, I don't know much about it other than my friend who I trust a lot says it was kind of cringe. And I have seen a similar sentiment across the majority of the internet. Not that it's all been negative about it. Some people seem to really like the campaign. Some people thought it was okay. Some people thought it was great, and I think that's maybe healthy for any campaign. But I want to ask you, like, since you have played it without any spoilers, of course, anything major, just generally, like, what did you think?
So I think, well, number one, I think the first review that I saw was, I think it was IGN, and I think IGN gave it like an 8. I gotta be honest with you, I've been seeing a lot of hype for the campaign, and I came out with a tweet shortly after, like after I played it, and I'm not at the hype level that a lot of these people are. I think I saw a lot of 8s, I saw a lot of 9s. I think the problem with the people that I was seeing the 8, 9 from is maybe people that had been playing COD in the last couple years, and they didn't get the World at War, the COD 4, the MW2 campaign. So like when I think of campaigns, I'm like,
The bar's pretty high.
Yeah, my bar's pretty high, and but that's what I say. Cold War actually kind of hit that bar, so I was really excited to kind of see what they had done because I know it's Raven, I know it's a little Treyarch. So I would say I liked it. I did not love it. They seem
Did
to
you
be.
love Cold War's campaign?
I thought Cold War's campaign was really good.
Okay. So, but you didn't love this one.
Yeah, so there's a couple things I'll tell you without spoiling. There's a couple missions on there that are the open world ones again, which you probably knew already. We kind of had an idea that they were going for that. And to me, something smells like they're trying to do like an open world campaign. I know that sounds
Like
crazy.
fully open world?
Yeah, there's been leaks in the past, which I'm sure you've heard of an open world campaign that Call of Duty was trying to do. I don't know what year it was, what studio it was. I think that they're trying to get closer and closer to this because I think there was like 3 or 4 missions where, man, one of the missions took like 30 minutes of walking around, doing an objective, doing this objective, doing that, and me personally, I like the linear campaigns for Call of Duty. I'm
Mhm.
down for like 1 or 2 ones where we're floating around doing some stuff, but for the most part, I like to kind of be on a little bit of a line. I think the Black Ops 2 multiple different options to choose of what you do. Cold War, the same vibe. You know that one mission where it's like go to the left or go to the right, go to the
Yeah,
left or go
yeah.
to the right. Um, that's cool, but
So
man, I
mhm.
get sleepy trying to do some of those where it's, go over to this base and blow up this thing and then go over to this base and blow. If I wanted to play a story game, I would go play a story game. Call of Duty to me has always been not like a Red Dead Redemption, if that makes sense.
Are you saying the gameplay is too bloated?
I don't know if it's
Like, okay,
bloated.
so well, I guess my thought process was, again, not having played it, is that I played MW3's campaign and hated it. And I remember like when they were telling us at Sledgehammer, like, hey, we're doing these like open combat missions. And I was skeptical when I heard it, but I also thought that like, okay, fair enough, because I chalked it up to like time and budget constraints where they're like, and we don't have the time or resources to make like a really good, like tight scripted level with, really solid moments and segments.
Yeah.
And so instead, we're just going to do this like kind of big sandbox and throw a bunch of assets. You can kind of do whatever you want. And maybe this is really ignorant of me to say. You can tell me what you think about this. And I just feel like me not being a game dev, if I were to make a level, it would probably end up looking more like an open combat mission than it would a tight scripted Call of Duty like linear mission that's well crafted, because I don't have that experience and it just feels kind of amateur to me. Like it's the open combat missions make me feel like if I made a level, that's what it would be. It
Yeah.
wouldn't I just don't think it'd be very good. And also the other thing is that I think the open combat missions do not work if they're solo. Like I can kind of see it working if it was co-op.
I
Kind of.
actually think that's a phenomenal idea because some of these missions I think would be fun with a friend. I really
This exactly. The
totally
sandbox elements
agree.
will be so fun with a friend. And I'm like, okay, I mean, if you want to have open combat missions, then don't make the campaign solo only. If you don't want to do uh open combat missions, then keep it solo or whatever. But I think focus on these tight, linear, crafted missions that people love because again, it feels kind of amateur. And with MW3, I could excuse it because of
Yeah.
maybe it was a budget or time constraint. But with Black Ops 6 having this 4 years of development, again, not having played it, I just haven't heard many good things about those levels, and I personally don't really see the draw.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I actually didn't even think about doing it co-op. It's been so long since there's been a co-op campaign in Call of Duty. I
Black
didn't
Ops
even.
3 was the last one.
Yeah, I mean, it's always Treyarch that does it. It feels like, and I mean, I don't even know if I played the Black Ops 3 co-op. I was talking more World at War. That's where I was going for
Mhm,
co-op
yeah.
campaign. So I totally agree. That would have been unbelievable. There was some really good missions though. So like there was a couple of really, really good missions. There's a couple sneaky ones, and I've heard the feedback that people don't really like that type of
The
mission.
stealth missions.
I love those. I don't not every single mission, but like one of those or two of those in a campaign, man, I'm down. And I will
How long was it?
I don't average. I would say it was average. That
4 or 5 hours ish?
oh, the campaign was like 8 for me.
Oh, okay, I
But I
see.
think here's the thing, the 8 is because of the open world missions. I think if it was all linear, it was probably going to be 5.
Mhm.
But the open worlds, like I think there was like 2 open world missions in a row, maybe 3, and I think that it was like it felt like an hour and a half straight of open world.
That kind of feels like that's kind of what I mean, I guess, when I was saying like, is the gameplay bloated? Like,
That
uh,
that little segment of time, there's like 2 or 3 missions in a row where I was like, "Okay, what do we got here? What's going on?" Like we gotta speed it up a little bit. I got
do
COD
you?
brain here, you know?
Yeah, sure, sure. Do you think from again, no spoilers, but do you think from a story perspective it was as powerful as some of the other uh Treyarch stories? I get that. Oh, and I say that with the caveat that the last real Treyarch story we had was Black Ops 3. Because again, BO4 didn't have one and Cold War was
Yeah.
Raven. I'm not saying that Treyarch didn't help these, but they're largely Cold War is a Raven product. So the last one we really had was Black Ops 3 as far as a Treyarch story. But do you feel like the story was as strong as some of these other games?
Um, no.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, like,
Mhm.
and I'd like to know. I mean, we got some people. We're actually doing this live on X or Twitter, guys. If you're watching at on YouTube or Spotify or Apple, if you're listening to this on Twitter, I'd actually like to see feedback. If you played a campaign, how, what you thought of the story. I felt like the story. Again, I don't want to give spoilers, but it's one of those things. It's kind of like what MW3 did, where it doesn't end. It's
Mm-hmm.
leading to the next thing, and
Sure. What are
I
next?
that they're almost taking a book or a chapter out of Marvel, almost, where
Oh no.
every single thing has to go to the next thing, and it doesn't wrap up nice.
Everything has to be a reference.
Everything has to be okay. Oh, there's somebody's doing something at the end of the campaign. That's all I'll say. And that's going to lead to the next game. But the problem is we don't know when the next game is going to be. We don't know if the next game's even going to happen with that story. Again, look what happened with Ghosts. It's not a good idea to not wrap up a story, I think, with Call of Duty because of the landscape changing so much with gaming. You know, people may turn on this game 6 months from now and they'll go, okay, scrap the next Black Ops that was going to come out.
Sure, yeah.
So it's like, I don't think that's the best approach for stuff. I think that was the best thing about World at War and Black Ops 1 was, yes, they could have continued it and they did, but it wrapped up.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I find that so. No, you're right, and so like with Black Ops, I mean, with dude, the original Black Ops. I mean, like we say that word now, but Black Ops was just a game originally. Like that wasn't
It was a
meant to be
solo
this
game.
giant mega like
Yeah.
sub series. Black Ops was just their little story they wanted to tell, and they told it in a self-contained narrative. And then
Yep.
the game just happened to be so successful that they're like, okay, well, I mean, we got to make Black Ops 2 at this point.
Yeah.
And then Black Ops 2 was so successful that they had to do Black Ops 3 and so on. But I and that's what I loved about the original Modern Warfare games.
Yes.
I didn't love. I mean, honestly, I don't love I don't love the original Modern Warfare 3. I think it's the weakest campaign of the trilogy. But still, they are self-contained stories that still work across time. They're like Star Wars, right? You can watch every Star Wars movie, the originals and the prequels, and they are their own self-contained narratives, but
Yeah.
also span across
There's a bigger
their respective trilogy.
story happening kind of too.
Sure. Yeah, and with MW3, I would even say, or I'm sorry, last year's MW3, and then the new Modern Warfare 2. I'd say probably ever since, I mean, Modern Warfare 2019, every game they're kind of doing that like, what our next thing, and they're
Yeah. Well, look at Modern Warfare 3, like you just said. What if they don't make a Modern Warfare 4? So that ending of the campaign just like
that's it.
Ends on a cliffhanger, and that's just what we just have to accept that.
Yeah, and
poor Infinity Ward fans. Ghosts, probably MW3 as well will be left on a cliffhanger. One day you guys will learn that Treyarch's the best studio, but
I wish Treyarch would make a campaign. Like I'm not saying this is shade against Treyarch. Like I know their situation, but I wish like Treyarch would make the campaign again.
Yeah, me too.
They've been Raven campaigns since Cold War, and like again, I get the outside help with the studio, but I don't know.
You said, we haven't had a cold or a Treyarch led campaign since Black Ops 3. That's crazy to think about.
That is crazy.
That's 9 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, literally 9. That's wild. So with all this in mind, I do want to play the campaign, but again, given that it's like 8 hours of I'm hearing somewhat bloated gameplay and not an awesome story, which I'm kind of surprised by, because also they're playing into the established canon of Black Ops 1 and 2, all the stuff that people really care about.
Yeah.
And it's directly like tied into that stuff. So I'm actually quite surprised that, the story is just kind of average, but I'll wait and see. I'll give you guys my full judgments eventually when I do play it. But I am quite surprised to hear that. So that's interesting. I guess the campaign wasn't exactly what people were expecting, but um, I guess we can leave that for now. I want to talk to you about multiplayer because
I love to talk
I'll
about
get on my
multiplayer.
I'll get on Black Ops 6. I'll get on my friends list. I'll see T Dog Smitty level 55 grinding
Oh,
multiplayer.
I'm grinding, baby. I'm grinding. This is the first call. Actually, real quickly, back to the campaign. If I were to give you a rating,
Sure.
I'm probably 6.5 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. What would you put something like Cold War then?
Probably 8.
Okay. Okay. All right. Interesting.
I think that's a fair spot to be.
Okay. I'll tell you.
Um,
I'll definitely give you my thoughts when I do play it as well. I'm
yeah.
very curious now.
But yeah, multiplayer. So I I feel like I have to say this because I gotta give, people are gonna come in here and they go, here we go, does Black Ops 6 suck? And then we're talking about the campaign being okay. Multiplayer is legitimately the most fun I've had in a Call of Duty since Black Ops 3. Um, barring MW19, but I don't know if MW19 was more Warzone that I liked versus like the multiplayer, because the multiplayer there was a lot of crap in there that I did not like. The maps, the you know dead silence not being a thing, no red dots. But I do remember playing a lot of S&D in MW19 and enjoying myself. So if I'm talking about traditional Call of Duty games, I would say this is probably my favorite multiplayer since Black Ops 3. I have been playing it, wanting to play it. Um, like my buddies have been wanting to play it. I get messages every day. I cannot tell you the last Call of Duty that I've gotten messages from multiple people. Like almost I don't know who to play, who to play with. It's like, okay.
Mhm.
But other times you're like, hey man, you want to, I'm the one texting people. Hey, anybody want to play COD with me?
Sure. Yeah.
Now it's like everybody's on. It almost feels like a little bit of the OG days where you got online and there was so many people online on your friends list. You're like, wow, I have 35 people on my friends list and they're all
Yeah.
playing Black Ops 6. I think I think it's fun. It's easy to pick up. The movement is not like this crazy difficult movement not master, but like at least pick up. You know what I mean? Like the Omni movement it sounds crazy. It sounds difficult. But when you do it, you're like, oh, it's like just a click of a button and I'm sliding to the right, and a click of the button, I'm sliding to the left. But it feels so unique and different from
It's way
anything we've
more
had.
intuitive as well.
It's so responsive. So yeah, I'll let you. Well, I guess I'll let you go because I don't know. You haven't played too much multiplayer, you said, but
Yeah,
I
I've played a little bit. One thing I want to ask you about is maps because my experience with Black Ops 6 multiplayer so far, I was just playing the Nuketown 24/7 playlist for a couple hours and just
that's
playing with a friend of mine.
that's bold,
Eh,
man.
Hey, it was the sweatiest Call of Duty that's ever been played. It was wild. Um,
That's
but
like playing against CDL players if you dive into there.
yep, it's a sweat house. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's yeah, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, the real gamers are on Nuketown that do not turn off their console. But
Yes.
I played that for a couple hours and I was only expecting to maybe play a little bit and then like, okay, I'm getting off or I'm gonna get back on zombies or something, but I just kept wanting to play more.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've really had that pull to multiplayer. I mean, MW3 multiplayer is really fun, and I did play that more than I thought. But
Hmm.
I think I've already played more Black Ops 6 multiplayer than I have MW3.
Yeah.
Um, well, maybe that's not exactly true,
I'm
but
telling you,
it
I've
feels
probably
like it is.
played more Black Ops 6 than I did play MW2 and MW3 combined,
Wow,
which sounds
that's
wild, but it's true.
I just noticed that I'm actually having a lot of fun on multiplayer, despite it being incredibly sweaty with these Nuketown tryhards. But
Yeah.
I was enjoying the weapons and the one thing, again, I won't speak to maps. I'll let you get that in a second.
Yeah.
But uh, the one thing I will say is that I think Recon single handedly ruins the game. And maybe this is just more acutely a Nuketown problem because of the player's relatively tight positioning. But like I feel like I can't play Nuketown the way
You
it's
used to?
traditionally been played
Yeah.
because, people are spawning in at back blue or back yellow and I'm behind a wooden wall that they just know where they can literally see me. Like I can't reposition, I can't hide. I'm like it I get like punished for getting kills.
Well,
Um
isn't that getting nerfed? Right?
I have no clue. I hope so.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Swag tweeted out like, please nerf this, and Matt replied back. One of the head devs replied back, working on a fix right now.
That's good. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, honestly, like that's from a non-technical perspective, recon is my only big gripe with the gameplay.
yeah.
I It needs to be just like a one UAV sweep or something at most. Like
Well,
wall hacking is crazy. Um,
it's like the specialist in Black Ops 4, but it's like all the
but you get
time.
it all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And again,
And
sure, maybe it's exacerbated by me playing Nuketown because of the chaotic nature of it. That's fair. And it's going to feel more broken on smaller maps, but still, I think it's kind of ridiculous. But I mean, that aside, the one thing I will say is that I don't think kill streaks have felt this fun since Black Ops 3.
it's
Like,
got a lot of similarities to Black Ops 3. That's
I think so too.
this feels like a game in a couple years. We'll talk about it like we did Black Ops 3. Like, I
Yeah,
don't think
I
we
think
knew
so.
what we had in Black Ops 3 until like 2-3 years later, where we were still playing it and we're like, yeah, this was a banger. Like, this
Man,
was
I think that's the case with every COD. Dude, even Black Ops 2, everybody's like reveres that as like the perfect goat. But man, I was just watching some nostalgic YouTube the other night, and I was watching like videos from the era, and the way that people complained about Black Ops 2 is hilarious. It's like almost precisely what we complain about now.
yeah. COD
Maybe
people
a
are
little
the
different.
same.
Like
That
the
nothing's
the ex-
changed.
the big people hated lag compensation in Black Ops 2.
Oh,
Like
I
people would
remember
make like
that word.
20-minute long
Holy.
rants about, like uh, everyone hated Black Ops 2 when that multiplayer was out.
Yeah,
Or
my
at least
my
you would
butt.
think
I
so
can
according to the internet.
vividly remember my buddy saying I did not like when Black Ops 2 first came out. He's like, "What is this?" Because
Mhm.
it was very futuristic, which we hadn't really gotten. That was the first future COD, if you think about it. It was
Future COD, by
yeah,
the way,
because it was Modern
2025 next year.
Warfare, and it was like kind of classic. So,
Mhm.
um, I think that's one of those things where we don't think about that. But Black Ops 2, my goodness, it was in the beginning. I remember playing. I'm like, oh, I'm a little bit nervous. And then once it clicked, it clicked.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I think so too. I just think that it's funny how I mean, I think there are CODs that generally speaking are revered more than others, and Black Ops 2 may be one of the most, but I mean, even what we consider the greats, we, I say by and large, the community still complained about during the year of its life cycle,
yeah,
and a lot of those complaints are the same ones we're making about Black Ops 6. Although I will say, I think Black Ops 6 ultimately, besides Recon, is in pretty good shape. Uh, from a non-technical perspective, I know there's some technical and desync issues that they're contending with right now. I've
that,
seen some deep dives on.
I feel like that's COD in general, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also been, I think, more of a Treyarch problem for whatever reason. They've always had a bit of an issue with like desync and connection and stuff, more so than I think Infinity Ward. I mean, Black Ops 1, like tried playing that game on a slightly bad ping. It's the worst game you've ever played.
Yeah, yeah.
Black Ops 1 really suffered. But yeah, I mean, by and large, again, not speaking to the maps, I've enjoyed the multiplayer a lot more than I thought I would. So what the thing that the sentiment I've been seeing on Twitter and across YouTube is, yeah, the game core mechanics are good, but people are like the maps just suck. So
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
It's wild for me to say this because I do think it seems to be a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but I don't mind the maps. Like I think there's two that I can think of that are terrible. That would be
I'm guessing
Lowdown.
red card.
Red Card is one of the worst maps of all time, easily. I think it feels like
Why?
it feels like it belongs in MW19. No flow, doors everywhere, corners everywhere, random alleyways everywhere. Just zero flow.
Mhm.
And then low town or low down or something like that. I think it's low town. That map it's got a bunch of water in it, which just for me, I am not a water guy. It just
Water only worked in Black Ops 3, and I'll die on that hill.
because you can shoot underwater and it doesn't become annoying. It was clear water. You could shoot underwater. In this, it's like you just start swimming around. You're staring at a guy. You got to switch to your pistol. Your pistol barely works underwater.
Yeah.
I actually saw a comment on this about, I don't know whose video it was, but they were going over just a few animations that MW2 brought to
The new or old?
the new one that brought to like the engine that they're just haven't quite gotten rid of yet. You know, you go back and watch a mount in like Black Ops 3 and or I guess maybe Black Ops 4, and how quickly they get over the object. And then in these newer games, they like latch on for a second and then you got to pull yourself over. And it's like that was so MW2 influence where it took just a hair too long. Like everything's just a hair too long. So in some cases,
I think it's a big
way too
focus
long.
on. Yeah, I think it's a big focus on like they want to make like the movement like feel more realistic or whatever. But Black Ops 3, like just David Vonderhaar was like, yeah, we want your gun up to be the whole up the whole time. Like it doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be swimming, flying, mantling. We want your gun up to
Yeah.
be up all the time. And like I I think that makes sense to me from a gameplay perspective. Like I remember it when in the new MW2 when they revealed that thing where they're like, "Oh, you can climb and like shoot your pistol from ladders." I'm like, "Huh?" It just seems so
And I never did it
like
one time.
no, me neither. I like it just that's what I mean. It's like that feels so pointless where
Yeah.
it's like the guns up mentality cross the design of the map makes so much more sense to me that and I also don't get why we've regressed to like water being this barrier that is just a no gameplay zone anymore. Like I
Yeah.
loved the way water worked in Black Ops 3. I
I
thought it
played
was
Black Ops 4 the other day and I played Jungle Flooded for a video. And that was even that map's terrible, by the way. But
sure,
it was still easy.
but the water still works.
The
Okay.
water still worked fine. Could shoot underwater, the whole thing. And I don't know if you remember the little red dots that update happened like I think a week after, the little red LED lights that they put on the soldier's shoulder. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I it's funny, that's all you can see sometimes underwater in Jungle Flooded. It was kind of funny. But
Man.
yeah,
I don't know why we've gotten away from that. Like I don't know. If
I know
this push
why.
we need realism.
Infinity Ward is why we've gotten rid of it. And I think we're slowly, every single thing that they tried to implement has Treyarch and Sledgehammer have worked their way to get rid of it. And Sledgehammer had the biggest, I mean, you got to give them props. They had the biggest what would you call it? Biggest work to do on side of things, I guess, to make things move quicker. And
they had to move a mountain. And
yeah.
I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it, man. Like they had a mountain to move. So fair enough. But I guess like, yeah, and it's little things like that where you see the Infinity Ward influence, I think, kind of creep into what could be otherwise really good gameplay for a Treyarch game. Because Treyarch always had the more I don't like using the word cartoony exactly because that's not what it is. It's like I don't know, exaggerated realism, you know? Like it's not oh, you're literally climbing a ladder like you would in real life. You're literally reaching your hand down to pull out a pistol like people gamers don't care about that. Like gamers like fun things where you can jump in the water and seamlessly use your gun.
Yeah.
I just don't really get that. So but you say besides those two, you think the maps are pretty good?
I really don't
in
mind them.
multiplayer?
I mean, I know you probably heard about Scud. I enjoy Scud.
Scud was a beta map. I assume they didn't make any changes,
Yeah,
right?
they made it a little more bright. And then like there's the satellite's a little bit more wall bangable is the terms I would use. Skyline. I mean, the maps from the beta are pretty solid, honestly.
I like Skyline a lot.
Skyline's really good. Vault is another one. I don't know if you played that one. That literally has the vault in the lower half of the map, which I really like. And another one that I like too is the campaign. So if you obviously you didn't play the campaign, but the base that you see in the trailers of the game, like the little headquarters that you have, that's actually a map.
Like the safe house?
The safe
I
house.
think I remember that.
So the safe house is a map, and I think that's also a good one.
Interesting.
And I think we should address it while we're in this part. But season 1's bringing 3 new maps right off the rip on the 14th. and they're
Mhm.
all medium. So I want to see what that means because I believe Scud is
Is red
classified
card
as
a medium map?
I believe so, but I think Scud as well is a medium map. And I would say that red card is way bigger than Scud. So that's what I'm trying to say is like
What does that
what is
actually mean?
medium? What is medium?
Yeah.
And then also Hacienda coming back mid-season. I think that's going to be huge. Honestly, Black Ops 4 maps and Black Ops 3 maps would be perfect for this game.
I would just like to also point out this is the first time we've ever had a Black Ops 4 map remastered.
Yes.
That's
Now
groundbreaking.
that's
That's
in
the
the
first time we've
era
ever
of
had
getting
it.
remastered.
Isn't that wait, just think about that for a second. Isn't that kind of wild?
Yeah, it's not that
Like
old though. It's I mean, I know
Black Ops 4 doesn't feel that old and we're getting a well, okay, well but I mean fair I mean
6 years is
I
semi-old, but
well sure and then also but I think to like Black Ops 2 like we had like Firing Range remaster. I mean it was like Studio.
yeah.
That was a DLC and it was okay, so but it was different like and I get
Apparently, we're
that. So
getting
I mean I
firing
guess
range at one point too. That's what I've
oh,
heard.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
So
Um
yeah,
I
Hacienda, I
guess
think
it's
is
not too crazy, but that is interesting.
yeah, and Hacienda is classified as a medium. So I'm looking at those and I'm going, okay, if they're all pretty solid medium maps, I think that's going to help the map pool big time. And again, it's all free, so everybody's going to get it. I think that's big as well. And honestly, some of the best maps in MW3 were the new ones that they made. Obviously, again, they were old maps that they brought back, but the new ones that Sledgehammer made were all pretty solid. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm liking the direction we're headed with maps. I think right now, let's be real. Like a lot of people doing camo grind, I'm sure they're a lot more happy that they got smaller maps to do all these challenges than imagine if they were Modern Warfare 19 maps trying to get some of these challenges done. You would have heard complaints the opposite way. You know, where are all
Yeah.
the small maps? Where's Nuketown? Where's this? When have you ever heard that the maps are too small? There's too many small maps. When have you ever heard a Call of Duty fan say that?
I
Never.
think I don't know. I feel like I may have leaned in that direction when I think there was a moment in time where I got like a little annoyed with shipment. I
Oh,
think
yes, 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 yes.
like
But there's
that I but
multiple
I
maps.
sure. And I think that really just came from shipment itself, I think, where I'm like, this map worked in COD 4 when
It was
when you
slow.
move at like the pace of
Yeah.
a dinosaur. But and I also kind of feel that way about Nuketown. If I'm being honest, like the okay, because I have played quite a lot of Nuketown in Black Ops 6. And the one thing I'll say is that
I think it's
it's still fun, but
cracked.
I don't think Nuketown was ever built to move the way we do now. Like
Unpopular
Nuketown.
opinion.
Mhm.
They should have done I cannot remember the map. I want to say it was Ghosts with shipment. They extended it. You remember that?
What map was that?
I don't remember the name of the map, but there was an
Oh my god, it's
extended
that DLC.
shipment.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And it has
And
like that outer layer. Yeah,
yes.
I know what you're talking about.
And I
That was
think
weird, but it was interesting.
but I'm almost thinking too, instead of giving us Nuketown, which again I know why they do what they do, it's to get everybody back. Yo, let's hop on Nuketown like the old days. And but imagine if they would like have brought, I don't know, maybe a little of the sides out or something where there's
Yeah,
always
like
that neighborhood you can see in the outskirts of Nuketown.
I would
Imagine
like
you
to
could maybe
see
go over there a little bit or something.
a
I don't know.
Nuketown variant. Yeah, where it's maybe a little more. I would just like to see how that plays. Maybe it wouldn't even be good. I don't know, but
Yeah, or a
I
bunker
guess my
like Blackout, like have the bunker underground that you sneak under, like hijack the map. There's that underground little one way
mhm.
to get to the other side. I don't know, just adding another flavor. Man, underground bunker might go crazy in Nuketown, like the Blackout underground
Mhm.
spot.
It
Just
just
one, just
reminds
one
me of
lane though. One lane.
yeah, it reminds me a lot of like Halo, where the old classic Halo maps were of a certain size, and then as Halo's movement got more advanced, they had to make the maps bigger to compensate for the fact that like you were getting around faster. So the
Yeah.
map scale increases, but it felt the same because you were moving through them quicker. But they haven't really scaled up Nuketown at all that much. I mean,
No.
maybe a little, but not really.
I would say
Um,
maybe Black Ops 3 a little, but that was just because you could wall run.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Even just like from a like proportion perspective, I think they did make Black Ops 3's Nuketown a little bigger, but this doesn't seem that much bigger from like the original. But you can get around the map so
Oh,
fast.
it's insane.
Like we were just never meant to be able to do that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So it's wild, but I mean, I cannot lie and say that I did enjoy myself because I did have fun. I thought Nuketown, for all of its flaws, was still like hella fun
And it
and
looks
excellent.
so good, man. But BO1's probably my favorite one. And then they like up the saturation and up like the
Yeah,
vibrancy and oh
it looks
man,
amazing.
it
I
looks
didn't like
so
Cold
good.
War's Nuketown very much. I didn't like the look of that. I greatly prefer this one. I think Black Ops 2's
Yeah,
Nuketown is still my favorite, just visually. But this one is cool, and I'm gonna play more of the multiplayer and see what I think about the actual maps myself. I'm looking forward to like the postseason maps as well.
me too.
Um, so I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like season one and what they're adding for multiplayer is kind of a W. Um,
And also the guns. Like, do you feel like the guns? It's the first time in a while that they all feel semi different. You know, we always talked about MW2 and MW3 kind of feeling like every gun
every gun
sounded
is the
similar-ish.
same, and especially with like gunsmith, like everything can be everything else, which was the
Yes.
problem.
Yes.
I I haven't used guns enough in multiplayer to know for sure, but I think it's leaning in that direction. I do want to make a point about that in zombies when we talk about that in a little bit because I have something very big to say there.
Okay.
We'll get to that, but
Yeah. I think the
I do kind
guns
of feel you.
I
Mhm.
think the guns feel semi unique. I'm thinking of C9 sounds way different than the PDW, and then the PDW sounds different than the XM4, where it felt like it just, especially MW3, it felt like everything was it just felt the same. It felt that was,
Guns have identity again.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I just think that that was one of those things where very important because again, the last time I can think of identity in a game was Cold War, Mac 10, Krig, uh, the Cold War MP5, XM4 in that game. Like there were so many guns that you remember
Mhm.
because they all had different things
Do you
that they
think
were
there can
about.
ever be too many guns? Like maybe this was Modern Warfare 2's problem, or at least part of it. Like I think when there are too many weapons,
Yeah,
I
people don't
think
know what
that
to
can
do.
start to, yeah. It's kind of that like choice paralysis. Like if there's
Yeah.
too much to pick from, I just like kind of blank out. Um, and yeah, I think like having fewer but really different and distinct guns is always better than having like an over bloated roster of guns that are all just eh.
Yeah.
But they would do that to like extend the camo grind and try to get people playing longer. I get why they would do it, but from a gameplay perspective, I would personally prefer them to have a fewer number of guns, but make them all really special.
Yes, I totally agree. And we're going to be getting more. The Krig 6 is coming. The SOG from BO4. A lot of BO4 love in this coming season.
Yeah.
The SOG and Hacienda, which is,
We'll talk. We could talk about BO4 as well when it comes to zombies, because
oh man. Well,
yeah.
let's actually, yeah. So I'll give my rating of multiplayer. I'm being honest. I'm like at a 9. I think it's great.
Now, for
Um,
reference, where would you put MW3 then?
so I think probably like a 6 or 7, but that's not the fault of them.
Mhm.
If I'm talking like the second half of MW3, it's
It's
probably like a 9.
it's coming off the heels of a multiplayer that I know you hate.
Yeah, it's coming off of that. It's coming off of MW2 maps that I've played 1,000 times. It's coming off of the same MCW felt like for the first 6 months of the game. So until they started adding unique maps and they had the events and the random Halloween stuff and all, I thought that was good. So I would give a 6 or 7 to MW3.
Mhm.
Support was a 10.
Yeah,
Support was a
and
10.
you're giving Black Ops 6 just from a gameplay perspective a 9.
I'm giving it a 9, and I think by the looks of season 1, if that's the support we're getting, we're in for a heck of a year.
I like to hear that.
So
That's great.
let's go to your bread and butter because we actually did a little zombies Easter egg, and I'm working on
Yes,
that
we did.
video. We'll talk about. I texted you the other day about an idea that I had, but um,
Yeah,
that
we'll talk about that more.
yeah, we did the Easter egg together on I was gonna say Liberty
Terminus.
Falls. Yeah, it was not. So I guess hit me with your zombies. Hit me with it all.
Yeah, so I'll start by saying like we okay, so when the maps came out, myself, Noah, Noah J, Codename Pizza, and Freckleston, we were first in the world to solve the Liberty Falls Easter egg. That was hype. That I'm not gonna lie, that was exciting.
That feels
I
good.
really enjoyed that. That felt great. I'll start with Liberty Falls. So it's pretty clear that the build that we played at COD Next was like very stripped down.
Yeah.
And I have played hours and I mean, I was telling you this before we started the show. I'm like almost prestige 6 just off zombies alone, pretty much. So I've played a lot of both of the maps, and the more I play Liberty Falls, the more I appreciate its existence because I really think map design wise, they took the Black Ops 3 approach where they have their more complex map, which is Terminus, and then
Hmm.
they have their casual counterbalance map, which in BO3 was the Giant. In this map, or in this game, it's Liberty Falls. I don't think the gaps between the casual and hardcore elements are quite as extreme as they were in Black Ops 3. They're more similar than they are different, at least in BO6, but they're still different enough. They're distinct. So I really enjoyed Liberty Falls. I
Yeah.
also think that the the Easter eggs are simple. I will say that. That doesn't mean they're exactly easy. Um, just from a gameplay point of view, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do think the Easter eggs could be a little more involved, and I get they have like their whole directed mode to help people complete the quests that'll be coming soon. But by and large, the
Season
I
one,
will say,
correct?
I'm sorry, say that
I
again.
think it's season one's coming.
Yes, yeah, yeah. They actually announced that today. So the directive was coming to help you do the main quest, and that's
Yes.
great. But it does disable all of the side quests in the map, and that's important because I kind of knew the direction that they were going to have with side Easter eggs in the maps because at the end of Cold War, the final map we had was Forsaken, and I really felt like they were starting to find their footing with side Easter eggs in that map specifically. Because in D Machine, the launch map, we had like almost none. I don't know, there was like 2 or 3 real side Easter eggs. It was not very many. It felt very barren, but
Yeah.
not the case in Forsaken, and definitely not the case here in Liberty Falls or Terminus. They are loaded with side Easter eggs, and the directed mode disables all those. So with that in mind, um, I think the core gameplay loop is really good. I'm quite enjoying the progression of the moment to moment gameplay. Um, where Black Ops 6 Zombies really struggles, in my opinion, right now is high rounds.
Okay.
High rounds are really bad. They're real bad. Um, and I remember talking to the folks at Treyarch about this because they were kind of asking us like, okay, what would you do to make high rounds harder? And I'm like, well, it's tough because in Black Ops 1 for high rounds, you pretty much only have like trap strategies
Yeah.
where you just run traps over and over again because guns don't kill. In Black Ops 2, you pretty much kind of have some wonder weapon strategies, sometimes a trap strategy is all right in that game. Black Ops 3 high rounds were your alternate ammo types. You had your blast furnace dead wire. Every gun was the same because you just could put whatever alternate ammo type on it and you would just high round. Black Ops 4 high rounds was literally just spam your specialist in a launcher. Cold War was use Ring of Fire and a ray gun, and Black Ops 6 seems to be use Mangler injection all the time. You buy a thing at a crafting table, turn it into a Mangler, and just this is how you high round in Black
Yeah.
Ops 6. I'm
Yeah.
gonna show you guys a live tutorial, just like this. That's how you high round. You don't even have to play the game anymore, and I think that's my problem with it. Is like traditionally in zombies, for the most part, maybe minus Black Ops 4, you are still at least kind of playing the game. Like if you want to high round in the Giant, yeah, you're still using your alternate ammo type just to kill zombies like over and over again, but you at least got to move around, so you at least got to train, you at least got to position well. Black Ops 6 high rounds are weird. Once you hit about like round 45 or 50, the only viable way to kill zombies and special enemies is to use the mutant injection. That's pretty much it. And it gets kind of tedious.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know what they do about that. I don't know. I think part of it is they need to nerf the amount of special enemies that spawn because you can have like 6 or 7 manglers in at one time and they're all shooting things at you, and getting shot in zombies always feels like shit. So they gotta chill on that. There just needs to be another viable way to get high rounds besides spamming mutant injections because it's not fun and you don't play the game.
Yeah.
So everything up until about rounds 1 to 50 is fine. After that, the game falls apart. That's probably my biggest issue with it right now. That's a negative, but the Easter eggs, I just want to praise it really quickly. The Easter eggs are fantastic. You know, you and I did Terminus. I
Uh-huh.
love that ending. That boss fight is so much fun.
I still don't know how you do that. Like, I still don't know how you figured that out with like you were telling me what to do and I was still barely getting it done.
We almost had Terminus first in the world too. Like I think I told you the situation. Like
Yeah, yeah,
our
yeah,
teammate
yeah.
got DDoS, and you know we were 3 manning a 4-player boss fight. Just didn't happen. But
Yeah.
we almost got Terminus first in the world as well, which would have been crazy. But and that's the thing is the community got stuck on one step for like a couple of hours. We were looking for the key card. You know that moment where we shot the beam smasher
Yes.
into that thing on the trap and the key card fell out? No one knew what to do and how to get that for a while. But once we
Yeah.
figured that out, things started rolling again. But the Easter eggs are super fun. And another thing I will say is that they did something really smart where so when you're and you know this too, because when you're doing the quest to build the beam smasher, you have this moment where there's like a computer and you have to do like algebra to get the code for it. And so you can either do the math to solve that and do like a, you know,
Yeah.
a proper thought through Easter egg step, or you can pay Dr. Peck 5K to like get the
I
solution.
paid him. I paid him.
Dude, and it's just like I think that's so cool because like I don't know, I like giving both options for that kind of thing. That's neat.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'm a
agree.
big fan of that. I think the overall approach to quest design was really good here. Um, it's they're fun to solve and they're fun to replay. That's not always the case in zombies. You know, we've had some previous maps, bro, where like sure they're fun to solve. Like you know, people talk about Revelations and Black Ops 3 all the time. That map took like 2 weeks to solve, but it had the most like arbitrary and stupid random steps that you would never think of to do ever. People found steps by accident. Um, so it's like I'm not advocating for that because they're not as fun to replay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I, I think an Easter egg that is fun to solve and also fun to replay uh, gets the golden ticket for me. And I think Terminus and Liberty Falls both check that box for me. Um, so I would say that this is also Treyarch's best boss fight. You know, the one that we
Really?
played on Terminus. Yeah, Treyarch has always been a little bit behind boss fight design, in my opinion. Like, weirdly enough, that's somewhere where an Infinity Ward actually excels. Um, and Treyarch has always been 2 steps behind, but they've really caught up a little bit with
Yeah.
this with Terminus, and I'm excited for where things are going with that. Um, and then the one thing to go back to your point about weapon identity that we were talking about in multiplayer, the thing with zombies that I think is really smart and that I love, and maybe you noticed this too when we were playing. Um, there are weapons that, like in Cold War, the only way to change a weapon was like gunsmith, right? You put
Hmm.
attachments on it, whatever.
Yep.
Um, but Black Ops 6 does a very smart hybrid where it's like Black Ops 1 again, where you pack a punch a gun and it might have like a crazy unique effect when you upgrade it. So like the SVD sniper rifle, for example, it's a sniper when it's unpack a punched, but when you upgrade it, it becomes a shotgun.
Huh.
But
Okay.
you can ADS it and it's still a sniper. So it's like this
That's
weird,
kind of
cool
cool.
hybrid. It's super cool, man. There's weapons that like get an increased, like a heavily increased rate of fire when you upgrade them. You can pack a punch the GS 45 pistol and they become Mustang and Sally.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. Unique identity to each gun, and you can still do gunsmith. That is super smart. Like
Yeah.
I could not be more happy with that system. That's amazing. So I've been very stoked to see that.
Well,
Um,
we just used the shotgun when I did the Easter egg with you. I used a shotgun. That's the only thing I used. Shotgun, pack a
that old
punch,
ASG, man.
updated, boom. I don't think
Mhm.
I even touched my other gun the entire time.
You don't need to. It's literally the best gun in the game. It's crazy.
No, it was a
Uh,
beast.
man, it's so good. So, and then today we got our new map revealed. That's coming next month. Citadel de Mor. It's an Avalon, and it's like a castle. It's called the Keep. And so the idea is that this is kind of inspired by like King Arthur's Keep, and the stories of like Excalibur and the Round Table and that kind of thing. So I think it's possible that we get like elemental swords in this next map, which would be crazy. Uh,
You know what I thought it
I'm
was? I thought it was
Yeah.
the Horizon
It look well. That's people are
from
saying
a
it looks a lot like
casual.
the Eisendrache.
I
Yeah,
said,
no, sure.
"Wow, they brought it back with no snow."
Yeah, I think people are. I've seen that all around the internet today. People are drawing comparisons to Dreisendrach, and I get it. Like it does resemble DE. But the thing I'm most excited about is that it's not a damn like bad guy military base. Cold War's maps were so boring thematically. We had D Machine bad guy military base number one, DLC one Firebase Z bad guy military base, but in Vietnam. Three, bad guy military base in Berlin, Germany, and then four, bad guy military base in like Russia or something. So I'm excited to see something actually quite different.
Yeah.
But the craziest part is, and what I was talking about with Black Ops 4 back in the multiplayer section, they canonized the Black Ops 4 chaos story, and I have no clue what the hell is happening in the storyline anymore. Like we're chasing the Sentinel artifact from Black Ops 4 zombies, and I don't even know where that goes.
Yeah.
In a good way. I'm actually like kind of interested. I'm kind of curious now because I just feel like all bets are off. I have no clue what to expect. I think Treyarch is going to try to like blow our minds with each map. And so far they've been able to do that. I think zombies is I'm speaking heavily biased, but I think it's probably the strongest element of Black Ops 6 for me right now anyways. Um I'm having so much fun on it, dude. Like I'm so I like I've just been so interested in zombies again. It just feels great to
That
be this invested.
I would agree with that. I feel like I honestly am starting to feel like I've seen more zombies talk than not more than multiplayer, but just the attention on zombies has definitely been more than it has in the past. Like I don't remember
Sure.
ever seeing zombie stuff, and maybe I wasn't paying attention for it. Maybe I am a little bit more this year, but during Cold War, I just don't remember a lot of people talking about zombies. I felt like it was more complaining about zombies, and this year it's like Black Ops 6 zombies is fantastic, and you're
Mhm.
seeing the Tim the Tatmans try zombies out. I mean, I'm not putting myself with Tim the Tatman, but I'm playing zombies and trying it out again. Um, just because it felt like it was kind of they had a mix for both. Like I even talked to a buddy of mine that I play basketball with, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I've been playing Liberty Falls." And he's like, "Yeah, the other one's a little too
Great.
complicated for me," but I'm like, "Yeah, Liberty Falls is you boot in, the zombies are right there. It's a smaller map. It's kind of the simple zombies experience." He said, "Yep, I played it. I was playing for 10, 15 minutes. It turned into an hour and a half." And I'm like, when is the last time you've heard that about anything Call of Duty related? So
That's great. I
I
love that.
yeah, so I think Liberty Falls. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I feel like Liberty Falls might be getting a little more love from the casual.
Yes.
And
That is
then the sweat, or the,
patently
I would
correct.
consider you a sweat in zombies. They're going big boy.
Mhm.
Um,
It's just that yeah, it's just that Terminus has a bit more depth. Um but I'm not discrediting Liberty Falls, and it's got its place and I like it a lot. It's just they serve two different purposes.
yeah,
And I think Treyarch's approach is that like, once you get comfortable enough with Liberty Falls, then you can try to take on Terminus and there's more to discover. And yeah, it's going to be a little more challenging, but the reward is also greater. I would say the ending of Terminus beats the hell out of Liberty Falls. I like the last step of Liberty Falls. I mean, it's fun, but it's not that Patient 13 boss fight that we did. I think that's sick. Um,
that was
so
insane.
it's great, man. It's so fun.
Yeah, so
Uh,
I enjoyed that. I
I
really did.
It's amazing. And so I just want to say, if anyone at Treyarch's listening to this, y'all keep doing what you're doing with Easter egg design. I am really enjoying it. I think y'all have the perfect balance of this right now. I will say my biggest gripe is high rounds. High rounds are not fun. I think
Okay,
they kind of suck.
okay,
Um, and which is a shame because I like high rounding. One this is probably this is way before we ever met. But I kind of got like my come up on YouTube a little bit during Black Ops 3. I would do you remember when YouTube Gaming was still around?
oh yeah, it was its own
So
app, right, or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, that YouTube gaming app. Yeah, yeah. So I would stream off my PlayStation 4, like off the direct streaming service, if you remember that, where
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you could
yeah.
just stream directly from the.
Yep.
So I would stream directly from the console, and like almost every night I would do a round 100 Easter egg. And that was like my thing. We'd go
Yeah.
to like Dreisendrach and we would go to round 100 and then go do the boss fight. Like that was my thing. I love high
Mm-hmm.
rounding. It's
Mm-hmm.
fun. Um, and you can still do that here, but it's just the process of getting to high rounds is literally like fun only up until round 50, and then it's a hard cutoff, and then it's like, all right, now I just got to spam mutant injections.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
can't wait to click my right stick for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know, just not as fun to me, not as engaging, but it still has room for improvement and can be fixed. I think. We'll see what they do, but that's the biggest hole in BO6 zombies right now, I think.
Yeah, and I think what we're talking about here is there's little holes. It feels like
Yeah,
every category is a little hole. Campaign is something you can't really fix now. I'd like to see
sure.
campaign. It'd be wild is to get like a DLC campaign and continue the story and not continue the story through Warzone. I'm talking about like,
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, dude, hey, MW3, brother.
yeah,
I mean, it kind of, MW2 was gonna do that.
it would be cool like to 3 months down the line if you play the campaign, you know what I'm talking about, but like they could continue how the last scene ended instead of having to wait for another game. But I know that's not what they're prepared for. There's no way that happens. But yeah, I just
Are we past the era of self-contained stories in a COD game?
yeah, it's gone. Uh,
Are we at the what are next era?
yeah, what are next? Marvel style open world. I think that's where
Yeah.
we're at. I think that's what they've kind of figured out is the what they want to pursue. I don't know. I this one got pretty good reviews, so I guess I might be in the minority here a little bit with that.
But
So
maybe it's what you were saying where it's like people that don't really play COD that much may have been like blown away by it, but people
yeah,
who've experienced campaigns more deeply in the past, like, it doesn't really hold up as much to some other ones. I'm
that's
curious to see
how I
what
feel.
I need to play it, man. After all this talk, I need to actually just,
You should
but I
play
need
it.
8 hours to sit down and
8
play it.
hours is wild. 8 hours is wild, especially when you got your content that you need to be doing, like with zombies and stuff. It's
Mhm.
8 hours to do a campaign. It's like, eesh, maybe do like a level or two at a time. That's what I
I
would
need to
say.
get like a Steam Deck and play it when I'm on like a flight or something.
Yes, that would actually be a good idea.
I think I got to do that. So I'm looking forward to talking to you all about what I think about the campaign. Eventually, I'll do a review as well and give my full thoughts. But yeah, so I can't really speak to campaign, so I'll leave that to you. Multiplayer,
Yeah,
I've played a lot of Nuketown, but I've enjoyed it. It's very good.
good.
I am having a lot of fun. And zombies, I'm having more fun on zombies than I even had in Cold War, which is saying a lot because I really liked Cold War
Uh
zombies.
huh.
And I also think this has more potential than Cold War zombies. It's got it's got a few pain points that need to be addressed, but I mean, so does every zombies game.
True. True.
Um, but I mean, they've got good bones. It's got good structure and it's fun. Like, I mean, the fact that I'm like Prestige 6 should be evidence of how much I'm enjoying it. I've been doing almost nothing but playing it. It's great.
Bro's
Uh,
grinding. I mean, we talked last time the other day, and you're like, "Yeah, I slept like 7 hours in like 3 days." I said, "Excuse me."
yeah, man, it's like it feels good to be like chasing that first in the world, man. That the
Yeah, something to
dopamine in
grind
my
for.
brain that I yeah, the dopamine in my brain from the Liberty Falls first in the world, I don't think I could top that. That was fun. I
I'm
like that.
sure.
Um, Super cool, man. And
I
I'm
want
I'm
to.
looking forward to more Easter egg hunts. Like, and we got one coming up next month.
I want to wrap quickly. Actually, the
Yeah.
Ravens are playing. If any of you guys didn't know, they play at 8:30. So I do want to watch that. If you're tuning in tomorrow. But are you gonna try Area 99 at all? Warzone.
I'm gonna be honest, probably not.
I gotta be honest with you. I might try it.
Okay, I'll be curious to see what you think.
I think I want to give it a little bit of a go. Just
I
I
don't.
will.
Yeah,
I'm over Rebirth. That map has. Well, come on now, guys. It's like 4 years now. We've been playing Rebirth Island, and then
sure.
Urzikstan. They're actually reverting the map back to it was in the original. So you know how they added Superstore and added a bunch of random stuff. So they're going back to the OG map,
They're
which
reverting a
they're
revert.
reverting and they're going back to the OG Urzikstan for this
What
Black
are
Ops 6
next?
integration. So I'm not sure the thought process with that, but um I do think I wanna try Area 99 just because I'm a sucker for Nuketown. So it's like kind of got a Nuketown vibe.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'll probably give it a shot. I'll run a couple games of it, but man, I think Warzone for me has just hit that. I just have
It's cooked,
no
brother.
desire.
I don't either, man. I don't think I could be less interested in Warzone right now.
Yeah, yeah. So um, but anyway, we've hit an hour. That was probably the quickest hour of a podcast I think we've ever had. I'm not even kidding.
I apologize for like the 2 weeks we didn't have a podcast, Vlads. We were both
No,
very
but
busy,
we
but
I agree with what you. I think we had to bring the information to the people. You know, we
we
had to
had to
give.
come
I
back
wanted to give an
with a
actual
slapper.
opinion. You let it soak a little bit before you go
Yeah,
hot.
I think so too.
Um, but real quickly, Twitter, thank you for listening. We're going to end this here before we end on the actual podcast. If you haven't followed the podcast, it's Going Dark Podcast on Spotify and Apple and
And
YouTube.
YouTube.
So thank you for tuning in on Twitter, man. That's pretty cool. I think we had like 30 to 40 people in here the whole time, which is actually surprising to me. I thought it was gonna be me and Chopper talking to ourselves. So
Just rambling to ourselves. No, I appreciate you
yeah.
guys. Thanks, y'all.
So
I
thanks guys.
appreciate
I'm
you.
I'm ending this and I'm sure I'll see you guys on Twitter here in a little bit, but I'm ending you now.
Bye bye.
Um but anyway, yeah, podcast. Thanks for waiting on us. We took a little bit, but I'm glad we did because now we have. I feel like have a very strong opinion on this game now, which is good to have rather than just kind
My
of.
opinion is greatly solidified after the first week.
Yes, I agree. But yeah, I mean, anyway, if you want to give us a follow on social media, we've been tweeting a bunch our opinions and random stuff. We're both on Twitter. I
Mhm.
haven't checked our Spotify reviews in a while, but I'm sure I've gotten a lot of people, just like you told me in this podcast. A lot of people have been asking me, like, where's the
They're like,
podcast?
yo, where's the pod,
They
brother?
have. They've
Like,
been saying, and it was actually really cool because I'm like, it's coming soon, guys. We're just kind of waiting. So we are back.
but it feels good y'all were like waiting on us, man. That means a lot.
Yeah, and now we'll be able to kind of get back on schedule. We'll have this week, and then we'll talk season one next week. So
We'll have some guests on too.
have some guests, bring them on, have their thoughts on Black Ops 6. So it should be a good time. Leave a review if you are listening on Spotify or Apple. We appreciate that. Helps us out and gets us into the algorithm. And YouTube, I guess leave a like. That always helps us. And anything else, Chop?
I just want to say thank you guys for being so patient with us. It really does mean a lot. I'm excited to have more guests on soon. We'll have more thoughts, and I've just been enjoying the game. Hope you guys have been too. It's gonna be a good year, I think. I'm very excited for everything that's coming. So I hope you guys are as well.
Well, folks at home, thank you for listening to another episode. We will see you next time, and we will not make you wait 2 to 3 weeks.
No, we will not.
All
What are
right.
next?
We will talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.